Welcome back to the Gun Collective Podcast. My name is John Patton. As per usual, we've got an amazing guest. I know I keep saying it, and you guys keep agreeing with me because we do have an amazing guest this week. But first, we got to talk about our sponsors, Vertex. Go to vertex.com. That's VERTX.com. Get yourself an EDC bag. Get yourself some apparel. I mean, I personally love the Ready Pack 2.0. It is my go-to, like my daily driver backpack. The Ready Pack 2.0 is the jam. And if you use code TGC, you get yourself at least 15% off, sometimes more. Like on a holiday, you plug in that code, boom, more money saved. It's awesome. Also, check out Blackout Coffee. Use the link, blackoutcoffee.com/TGC, and you'll get yourself some amazing coffee. It is some of the best stuff, small batch, roasted right in Florida. And I think they left out the bath salts and meth. That's not in the coffee. You can be rest assured it's good to go. And they're always running sales. So go to blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Try our Tenacity blend. You're going to love it. Now, on the show this week, we have a longtime friend of mine. I don't know how long we've known each other, but a longtime friend of mine who is my go-to resource when it comes to hunting. This is Matt DeVito. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Good, John. How about yourself? We've been friends for over a decade at least.
Has it been a decade now?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
We are effing old, my friend.
Yeah, we are.
Holy shit, we are old.
Yep.
I think one of the first times we met was at the Shoot Herd Round the World, I think.
Before that. I'm gonna back you up even further.
Oh boy.
And we were at a media event sponsored by Brownells at SHOT Show. And you were still...
I was still my old channel.
You were still the old channel. You weren't even the Gun Collective then. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, right? So maybe more than 10 years. Maybe more.
Oh, my soul. I aged right there.
You've aged gracefully,
though. What's that?
I said, you've aged gracefully. Me, not so much.
I'm a giant toddler. So like, if I didn't have a beard, the thing is, we have known each other for a very long time and we have gone down very different paths in life. You have a background as a trainer in New England. What's the name of your company? Are you still doing that, by the way?
Not so much. I'm honestly so busy with stuff. Every now and then, like I'll do private classes. I don't do a lot of I don't travel anymore or anything else like that. Like if somebody wants anything from learning how to shoot to becoming more dangerous to the bad guy, I do still do all of that, but kind of small batch, like the coffee.
That's good. Link is no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I don't do it as much. I've got a full-time job now that takes up a lot of my time, and then the volunteer work that I do takes up a lot of my time. So I don't dedicate as much time to it as I used to, but I do still do it. I dabble.
I do be doing it. You know how I do. So you come from a background of being an instructor, having a training company.
Yep.
And over the years, I mean, one of my only, I have not been hunting very often. And one of the most important trips that I've ever taken, we were on together in North Texas. And we'll get to that in a second, because I think that's a long story.
It is.
What are you doing now? You've gotten involved in the hunting community in a big way now. Can you explain how you fit into that?
Yeah. So I kind of took a step back from and I hate using the term, the tactical side of the firearms industry, and kind of pursued my passion, which was hunting, which is weird to have a passion that I didn't grow up with. Wasn't raised around guns, wasn't raised around hunting. First person in my family to ever pick up a gun, first person in my family to ever go hunting. So my family thinks I'm absolutely wacko when I go on these trips across the country and I'm gone without cell service for 10, 14 days. But I kind of took a step back, got more in the hunting industry, and I fell face forward into an opportunity. Again, I tried to dabble and dip my toes in, and it was like just stepping off into the deep end with Safari Club International.
Okay. Now, when I think of Safari Club International, I think of old fuds going on safaris. Literally, it's part of the name.
Yep.
Like, is the organization like different than that, or explain it to me?
We're trying to get there.
Okay.
So
So back up a second. What is your role?
I'm the vice president of the New England chapter.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're the vice president. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So anybody out there that's in New England, if they've got some kind of hunting thing, Matt is like your go-to representative, I guess, in the SCI. That's pretty rad, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. It's honestly, if I didn't love it so much, man, for a volunteer position, it's a lot of work, but it's like I said, it's my passion. And I was in the same boat, literally, as what you just said of, hey, safari club. Well, I don't want to go hunt lions and tigers, and I do hunt bears, but all that other stuff. And I literally, as random as it can be, I'm at my local gun shop, and I bump into a guy wearing a Safari Club International shirt. And my buddy Anthony, that's the manager of the shop, goes, "Oh, you should talk to Mike. You guys like to hunt and this and everything else, yada yada." And I'm like, "Safari Club International, New England chapter." I'm like, "There's a chapter of that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, last time I checked, there weren't any lions or anything like that in New England."
There might be a mountain lion every
yeah, here and there.
That's different though.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh no, it's not like that. You should really check it out." And again, he's a younger guy. He's actually a little bit younger than me. I'll be 40 this year. I think Mike's like 38.
Damn, you're old.
I know, man. So old, so bad. I feel it too. I feel it in my bones. So I kind of like put it to the back of my head and was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Because same stigma, old rich white guys. I'm one of those, and even though I'm old,
did you just admit to the world that you're rich?
No, yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. One of those, not including not that old in the rich part. Very much blue collar. So yeah, so he invites me to this banquet. I go to the banquet and I'm like, this is going to be horrible because it's all these old rich white guys and it's not me. But I'm like, whatever, I'll give it a fair shake. So I go and I'm blown away. If you've ever been to a Ducks Unlimited banquet or like NWTF banquet or anything else like that, those banquets look like a spaghetti dinner compared to an SCI banquet. Yeah,
dude, I've never been to any of these. Explain, like, how does this go down? Like, you've got one, like, so we're recording this ahead of time. You've got one coming up. I'm sad that we can't plug it on the show, but
there's next year. There's always next year.
Yeah, next year. So. Talk to me about what is this banquet? And I don't want to like make this an advertisement, but
yeah, no. So the banquet it's a fundraising banquet. So all of the funds that we raise at the banquet, we get to use towards conservation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the cool parts about SCI is, we have all these different critter clubs. SCI is different because out of all the funds that we raise, we send 30% of those funds back to nationals to fight the good fight. And what I mean by that, everybody's familiar with the NRA. I know nobody likes the NRA, but we're familiar with the NRA, so that's what I'll use for a parallel here. The NRA has 3 lobbyists in DC that fight for gun rights. How many millions of NRA members are there?
A lot.
And there's
10
only
million, I think.
Yeah, and there's only 3 lobbyists. SCI has like 200,000 members, and we've got 8 lobbyists in DC.
Goodness.
Yeah, we've actually got a building in DC that we purchased to fight all these anti-hunting bills and stuff like that comes up. Okay. So 30% of the money that we generate from our fundraiser goes to nationals to keep us going that and keep fighting that good fight there on the national level. The other 70% we keep here. We get to spend that money however we see fit in New England. So, and again, yeah, I'm not going to, I'm not criticizing any of their critter clubs. You get your Pheasants Forever, you get your Ducks Unlimited, you get your NWTF. The money those guys raise goes directly to nationals. And like, you really don't see that locally. Like, I used to be a member of Pheasants Forever in New England. We don't have wild pheasants here. The money's not spent here. The money's spent out in the Dakotas where pheasants occur naturally, Sure. So as far as habitat and all that other stuff. So we get to keep the money here. And we do all sorts of stuff like we put on a kids fishing derby once or twice a year. We basically get this pond that we can rent out, but we stock it and we do a big fishing derby for the kids.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's fun. We do a bunch of stuff for Boy Scouts. Last year, there was a local Boy Scout troop that their trap thrower was busted, and it was going to cost like $3,000, and they were supposed to go on some national trap shooting thing, and we bought them a new clay thrower so they could practice.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we've collared a bunch of Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont moose calves and try to track them and see why the moose population is declining. We donate to the UNH Extension Program for the Wild Chestnut Program to bring back that mass crop into New England. And our biggest thing that I'm not going to take credit for it. I spearheaded it, but it was not my idea. When I got on the board, they were like, "Hey, congrats, welcome to the board. We're going to dump this idea in your lap and see what you can do with it." And that was our mentored youth hunt, where we take the first year we did 6, last year we did 10 kids that don't have the ability or opportunity to get out into the woods because they don't have, like, they're mostly from single income families. They don't have an adult that hunts or any type of chaperone or anything else like that that can get them out in the woods. And when I say kids, I mean under 16. They don't have cars, they can't drive themselves. And we take them on this all expenses paid hunt where we work with a ranch in Maine, and the ranch donates red stag hinds, which are a female red deer. But we buy them boots, camo, backpacks, binoculars, thermals, all the stuff they'll need to continue hunting. And then I've been lucky enough through my connections in the firearms industry to work with companies like Primary Arms, who have been unbelievable and provide us with optics every year for the kids, binoculars for the kids. Underwood Ammo sponsors us with ammunition every year, and Stag Arms this past year sponsored us with rifles for the kids. So we do everything soup to nuts for these kids. We teach them how to hunt, teach them how to track, teach them how to gut and clean their animals. We butcher their animals for them at no cost. We get the hides tanned, the skulls mounted, and everything like that for them at no cost. And it's
it's full service, man.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's nuts.
So how do you pick the kids? Like,
we kind of modeled it after what the hell? It's called like the Dream Hunt, which the Dream Hunt is for kids with a terminal illness. So we kind of model it after that. We have the kids write us an essay, what it's going to mean to them, why they want to get into hunting, and then we pick and choose from there, and we say, hey, you know what? I've only got room for 6 kids this year. I really liked your application, but there was one kid that he was a year too young. We try to make it like 13 to 16, and this kid was 12. And I'm like, I'm dying to pick this kid, but he doesn't meet the age requirement. So I said to him, reapply next year. I'll pick you next year. So again, just try to keep it as fair as possible. But yeah, we put out a thing for applications, and we do trade shows all throughout the year, and we have applications at trade shows and stuff like that, and for people to pick up and send back to us. Yeah, it's been super rewarding. Of all the shit that I've killed in my life, I will tell you this, sitting in a blind with a kid that had never shot a gun before, and I had taken him to the range weeks prior, given him all the training and the feedback and everything, then watching that animal step out and walking him through, lining the crosshairs up, all the way to the trigger squeeze and everything else like that. I know you're getting broken up. I see, me too. More rewarding than any animal I've ever killed. It's really like, it comes full circle with all that stuff. So it's really cool. It's my opportunity to give back. It's just something I'm super passionate about.
Man, that is freaking awesome. I can't imagine how the kids got to feel in that scenario. They have got to just love that.
Yeah, and we try to do it. We normally do it a couple weeks right before Christmas as kind of like a Christmas gift as well. And it's, you feel kind of bad sometimes. I had one kid say, this is the best Christmas gift I've ever got in my life. So you're like, oh shit. But yeah,
to be fair, get wrecked, mom and dad. That's
right.
Awesome
right. Yeah. It's it's definitely, it's an awesome thing that we do. I'm super proud to be a part of it. And, all the frustration from the beginning of the year to then makes it worth it when we get out there with the kids. So,
man, that's super cool. If anybody's in New England, how do they get involved with that, or get their kids involved or whatever?
I can give you my email. What's the easiest thing to do? You want to put it you can.
Well, is there a chapter website?
It's SCINEF.org.
There you go. SCINEF.org.
Yep. And if you send an email there, that'll go to the chapter president, and he can just forward it to me. But yeah, we represent all of New England, but we are kind of local here in New Hampshire more than anything.
Rad. So I want to. I mean, we've only got. I feel like you and I could talk for
Hours.
days.
Yep.
Like Matt and I get along on such a deep level. Like we have spent some long hours together. Long, I'm telling you, long hours traveling and going to events, and like we have been friends for a long time. So we got to talk about the first trip to Greg's.
Yep.
So Matt hits me, and like I don't have any hunting experience, and he's like, "We're going down to Texas. It's me, Anthony, Peony, and we want you to come, and we're gonna go kill a bunch of pigs." And I was like,
ducks.
And ducks. That's right, and ducks. Forgot about that. And I'm like, dude, that sounds amazing. I've never been like out on an experience. I had been on one hunting trip prior to this.
With me.
One. No. Well, no, I was talking about the one in Texas where I shot the nilgai. And I forgot the other one was in between there.
Yep.
So Matt and I, that's a whole nother story. I'm gonna stick to Texas because that the Pennsylvania story is a different thing.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't count like hunting. It doesn't quite feel like it. So we're going down there. This guy's name is, the company is called Pavur Outdoors. I think that's how he pronounced Pavur
Outdoors. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Greg is this awesome dude. I don't know, how did you get connected with him?
Cable Smith from the Lone Star Outdoor Show.
Cable's awesome.
Yeah, we'd been following each other on social media for a little while, and I said, "Hey man, I want to go somewhere where I can kill a bunch of pigs with my buddies, and we can take pictures of these pigs stacked up." I'm like, I want that hero picture, and he's like, "You gotta call Greg." So
we call Greg, we get set up, and we flew into DFW. We go see our buddy at Scalpel Arms, hang out there a little bit, and then we go to what I deem as the middle of fucking nowhere in North Texas. I don't even know what town it's near. We were an hour from what the fuck was the big city that was like an hour?
Wichita Falls.
So we're way out. And we end up there, and I will say that I was woefully underprepared for how cold it was about to get. Matt,
it's not supposed to be that cold in Texas.
It was like a record. Like it's been worse since then. Since we went, they had like ice and all that shit. But I think it was like -10 in the blind. My heater froze to the fucking floor of the blind. I was the coldest I've ever been in Texas.
Yep. If anybody ever told me that in order to stay warm, I would need stay warm in Texas. Let me back that up. Stay warm in Texas. I would need to wear 1,000-gram insulated muck boots with wool socks and thermals, and have 2 buddy heaters running full blast at like so close that my boots are starting to melt. Wouldn't fucking believe it. In the blind. Yep.
So why don't you give these guys a rundown of like what that trip was, just real quick?
Yeah, so it was a ducks and hogs, ducks and pigs, whatever you want to call it. We shot a bunch of ducks every morning. We hit limits every morning. The duck hunting was amazing, except for the fact that we were frozen. You're sitting there and you've got this northwest wind blowing 25, 30 miles an hour, and we were frozen, but we killed so many birds. It was so fun. That's the first time you'd ever been duck hunting, right? You'd only ever done clays before.
I had done pheasant, but it's a totally different experience.
Yeah. So, to get John out there and everything else like that, duck hunting was amazing because, I mean, if you've never been down Texas duck hunting, the skies literally just get blacked out with birds. It's amazing.
It was like, all right, hold, wait for it. It was like the thing in Lord of the Rings. Hold, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. That was awesome. And then, we were hunting pigs at night. The problem was none of us had ever been pig hunting at night before, so it's a first-time experience for us. And I think we all kind of screwed ourselves with our night vision because we were, like John said, woefully unprepared.
Yeah.
I had an ATN scope that it's an ATN scope. Use your judgment there. But it was like I won't get into that. But it was miserable. It was so cold. Like we were getting dropped off in the blinds, and 45 minutes later, it's like, I feel like a bitch, but I gotta text Greg and been like, yo, man, come pick me up. I can't feel my fingers. I can't,
bad.
like, my face hurts. Like it was not fun. I think I was the only one that ended up shooting pigs because I just said fuck it and toughed it out in the very last day and shot pigs in the morning. It was kind of like the Hail Mary pass, let's go out in the morning and see. I know Anthony got dropped off, and within 45 minutes he was out of the blind. I think Peony got dropped off, and before Greg even turned the side by side on, he's like, take me home. Yeah. So I toughed it out. Saw a group of pigs, ended up shooting 3 pigs. And I've been back every year since.
So what's that's like 6 or 7 times now?
8 years now. That's how long ago that was, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
So this is like the jam.
Yeah.
Your spot, and Greg's booked out like years in advance at this point.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm super pumped for him, but that story to me was like a pivotal time because I struck out. Matt was able to get some meat. I struck out, and I took it as more of a learning experience of like what it really means to be prepared, and that was pushing me more into my interest in hunting. I don't get an opportunity to go do it as frequently because of all the TGC stuff, and it's a time investment. But you've kind of stuck with it where I deviated back to the sort of tactical side of things. What kind of hunting have you done since then? That was 8 years ago. That's a long time, dude.
Yeah. So that was what? That was 2016-ish.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It was about then. Yeah.
So I do a lot of bear hunting. I go down to Texas every year with Greg for deer, ducks, and pigs. I go down twice a year. First trip right before Thanksgiving for deer. It's amazing. Again, if you've never hunted Texas for deer, especially down that way, it's almost like cheating. I live in New England, and I've shot 3 deer in New England, and I shoot 4 deer a year down in Texas.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's wild. Great deer. Greg has managed his herd, amazingly. It's all low fence, not high fence.
I was about to ask, it's all low fence?
It's all low fence. Yeah. Let me tell you, there's nothing more heartbreaking when you see that deer jump the fence into your field where your blind is, and he's just sitting there, and then you hear Greg in the background. Well, if he goes over the other fence, he's the neighbor's deer. He ain't yours. So make sure you kill him in the middle of the field. Like, so yeah, that's happened. A lot of crushed dreams there. Yeah, so I've done some deer hunting down there. Bear hunting became my passion. I've gone on an unsuccessful moose hunt. I've gone on one successful, one unsuccessful elk hunt. But bear hunting has become my passion. Started off hunting bear over bait. That got pretty boring because you're only like 20 or 30 yards away from the bear, and it's too far. So I like being up close.
Too far. You like to box with them or something?
Yeah, I like to bare knuckle box with a bear. It's not
give me that picnic basket, you son of a bitch.
You ever see me fighting a bear? You better jump in and help the bear.
What a good reference. I'm gonna fill this whole street with uppercut.
So I do a lot of hound hunting now. I've got a couple of hounds myself. I'm actually in the process of getting my guide's license in Maine so I can run dogs up there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But we kill a lot of bears up here with hounds. I've been across the country hunting with hounds.
So when you say you kill it with hounds, what does that mean? Because I know some of our audience just does not understand what that is.
Nope. And as somebody that in 2018, when I went on my first hound hunt, I didn't get it either. I thought it was cheating until I went out and did it and said, holy shit, this is the hardest hunting I've ever done in my life. So pretty much depending where you are. So in Maine, we can run off baits. So the cool part about it is you've got a bait site set up. You've got a camera on the bait, and you go out every morning and you check the bait and see what's been there. What's great about that is it allows you to pick and choose what bear it is that you want to take. So if there's a sow with cubs on the bait, you don't run that bait because you're
Obviously.
not going to, yeah. If there's a 100-pound bear, you don't run that bait. So you're looking for 180 plus bear, a nice mature bear, 2, 3, 4-year-old bear.
And these are black bears?
Black bears. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And what you do is, you bring your dogs in. If you think you can get a good scent and good trail on it, bring the dogs in. Hopefully get them lined out the right way and try to figure out which direction the bear went. And then it's literally over the river and through the woods. And
Really?
yeah, you can have a hunt that ends in 45 minutes. You can have a hunt that ends in 6-7 hours. So you're literally following, and it's funny. So I keep my dogs quiet, but we have our GPSs here. My dogs are all in the other room. And you're like this. You're driving a road, constantly looking at this, trying not to hit a tree, trying to find out where your dogs are going, trying to see where the bear's going to cross, where your dogs are going to cross. It's adrenaline, just full bore adrenaline dump the entire time. And then
Wow.
then you walk up to the tree, and sometimes you don't get to walk up to a tree. Sometimes you're in there with a bear that's on the ground that wants to fight. And that's when it's okay, let's see if you can sack up or not. I've killed bears that we called this bear the boots on fur bear, because we were literally standing on this bear as we were killing it. It was killing dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, it was trying to hurt the dogs.
So you had to save the dogs.
Yeah. And as any houndsman will tell you, it's kind of you put your dogs before anything, as crazy as that may sound. And you do whatever you can to save the dogs. And we
I don't
literally,
think that sounds crazy.
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people think it is. I literally, we ran at this bear and body checked this bear to the ground. Yeah, dude, it
Oh
was
my
wild.
gosh,
It
dude.
was wild.
So what are you shooting it with, like a pistol? Like how are you?
I always carry a pistol on me. I went from carrying a 44 mag to now I carry an M&P 10 millimeter.
Okay.
But my main hunting rifle for that is a 16-inch 45-70 suppressed.
Whose rifle is a Marlin or?
I have the old school Marlin Dark.
Oh,
Yeah, the old school one. So Marlin, if you're seeing this and you want to send me the new one, because I'm not paying $4,000 for one on Gunbroker, hey, what's up? Holler at your boy. But yeah, I've got the old school Marlin Dark. I love that gun. And I killed a lot of bears with that gun. I've had a lot of people use that gun to kill bears. But yeah, it's a lot of people have an issue with the method of take, but it is honestly the most what's the word I'm looking for?
ethical.
Yes, the most ethical way to take an animal, because if that bear goes up a tree, I can tell if it's a young bear, I can tell if it's a bear with cubs, and I can say, nope, don't want to shoot that bear, and you just pull your dogs off and let that bear go to live another day. If it's a big mature bear, and that's the thing is with dogs, you can do that. You have the ability to say, hey, I want to shoot this bear, or I don't, and I want to catch him again in a couple years. People
That's
say
pretty
it's
wild.
yeah, and it's funny
Like
because
usually you just don't have that opportunity.
no, and people say, oh, it's unfair. It's an unfair advantage because you're using dogs, you're using this. What's more unfair than a bear just walking around doing bear shit, and then all of a sudden, boom, gets popped in the back of the head?
So the question then becomes, okay, so if a deer is walking around doing deer shit and you just pop it in the back of the head, obviously you don't shoot it there, but
Right.
how is that not an issue for you?
Because people have become sensitive to bear hunting because they're fuzzy.
Oh, I see.
So, the crazy thing is the bear knows it's in the hunt from the get, because the
It's
bear
being
hears
chased.
it's being chased, and it hears the dogs. And the bear will either decide to turn and fight, or the bear will decide to run or bay or go in a cave or go in a hole or do whatever. But when you talk about the most ethical method where the bear knows it's in the hunt the entire time, it's hound hunting. And that's not just bear hunting. That's any type of hound hunting. They do deer with dogs, bobcat, mountain lion, coyote, fox, all that stuff. So when you say it's unfair, it's probably the most fair way to take game, because the animal knows it's in a hunt the entire time.
So here's a question.
Yep.
I know people get worried about stress in an animal because it affects the meat. Is that something, because you're using hounds, does that affect the bear meat?
No,
That's
I love bear meat is probably my favorite table fare as far as
really.
wild game. Oh, dude, you got to come over. I got to cook you some. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
it's
You're gonna make me drive to New Hampshire for that?
I guess I can come to PA.
All right. Well, I got to come up there anyway. So
yeah, that's true. It is the leanest and most protein content of any type of wild game meat out there. And when you cook it the right way, it's delicious. But yeah, I've never had, and again, this is bears that we've chased for 6 hours and never had any issues as far as, hormones or anything else like that in the meat from stress induction or anything else like that.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not settled on how I feel about bear hunting.
Yep.
And I'm sure a lot of people also just kind of feel that way. I don't know how I feel about bear hunting. I still feel weird about coyote hunting, even though I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I know they are a pest. I don't know necessarily how bears fit into the ecosystem in terms. I don't think they're a pest in that way, in the same way. Like they're not like coyotes, but I don't know. I feel like I've heard so many negative things about bear hunting that I feel like I need to try it at least once and see if all that shit's true.
Yeah. I mean, and kind of same thing with the coyote hunt, is coyotes and wolves. Oh, well, it's like a dog. How can you kill a dog? I've got a whole pack of dogs here. It's a descendant of those. How do you kill a great ancestor? Well, the difference is we kill coyotes because, like, one, around here, coyotes eat my chickens all the time. So the other thing is coyotes are huge fawn killers. Same thing with like raccoons and possums and skunks. Raccoons are the biggest meso predators in North America. They're nest raiders. So if you want to increase your turkey population, you got to kill coons. Plain and simple, because they are the biggest ones to go out there. They kill your pheasant population, they kill your quail population, they kill your turkey population, because they go out there and they're wiping out nests constantly. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, and again, it's a cycle, man. That's it. It's a giant cycle, and I don't go out there and I don't murder raccoons, wholesale. I take a couple out, a couple of the big boars. I take them out, knowing that they won't be reproducing this year, and yeah, they're called boars. And it's about conservation. It's about taking out the right amount, not overdoing it.
It's about management.
It is about management. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I got involved with SCI is we talk about the North American model of conservation. The North American model of conservation is that there should be enough wildlife out there for every man, woman, and child to be able to take an animal to feed themselves throughout the course of the year and have renewable resources. That's not going out and, I get 6 deer tags a year in New Hampshire. I'm lucky if I fill 1. Would I fill 6? No, I don't need to fill 6. I don't need to put 6 deer in my freezer. I would fill a tag if somebody needed meat, because, a lot of times we do donate meat and stuff like that. But, I don't need to fill 6 deer tags. If everybody filled 6 deer tags, the population would be a lot worse off than it is now. Same thing. New Hampshire just gave us 2 black bear tags this year. It's the first time ever that we've got 2 black bear tags, because there are so many bears. Am I going to go out and kill 2 black bears myself personally? No, probably not. I didn't even kill one last year because I was too busy helping other people get bears. And to me, watching somebody else get their first bear is just as good as me getting a bear. So, as far as that goes, it's a give and take, and it's a pretty delicate balance. But if you do it the right way, it works. And this has been shown exponentially through the white-tailed deer population, through the North American turkey population. I mean, turkeys were almost extinct, back in the...
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, and we brought them back simply by conservation, because now, instead of just going out and killing turkeys wholesale and having turkeys all year long, in your freezer all year long, you only kill 2 birds. And
I got to tell you a story about turkeys. Growing up in this area, the only time I ever saw turkeys, I'm in southeastern Pennsylvania, and the only time I ever saw turkeys was on a farm. I had heard that there were wild turkeys. We used to see them up in the Poconos up north of us, but would never really see them around me. I live, kind of on the edge of like Amish country, and that's why I just never really saw them. And last year, I am walking out on my morning walk, and I see a couple turkeys walking through my buddy's front yard, and I went, holy shit, there are wild turkeys here. Cut to 2 days ago, and I'm out walking along a similar, like like right up the road, and I hear, and I went, what the fuck? There's still turkeys in this area, which means they're coming back even stronger than when I was a child, which is amazing to hear. Obviously, I haven't seen it this year, but knowing that there are turkeys in this area, that's pretty rad.
Are you gonna get out and turkey hunt?
I am attempting to do that. I was on the phone with a shotgun manufacturer who has a guy here in Pennsylvania. He's down in Maryland, so he's like, dude, he loves it.
Yeah.
And I think I told you about this.
Yep.
And he was like, dude, we got to get you on it. It's like the shit. And everybody talks very highly of it. I've never done it, and I want to try it. I'm very much in that mindset of like, I just want to try all this stuff and see how it goes. So far, the thing that has got my jimmies rustled the most was nilgai hunting.
Yeah.
Close second is pig hunting.
Yeah, I've been turkey hunting a couple times. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the only type of hunting where you're actually talking and communicating with the animal, because you can pull a bird from a mile away if you.
It's like
if
a
you
call and response kind of
thing.
thing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's also the most frustrating because you're hunting the stupidest, smartest animal in the woods.
What the hell does that mean?
It's got a brain that's this big, and that bird literally knows the day that hunting season starts and the day that hunting season ends, because they'll be all henned up on private land during hunting season, and the day that hunting season ends, they'll be all on public land strutting around where you could have just killed them within 10 feet of you.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's
Do you think
funny.
they sense that? Like I don't know how people, like, do they go out and like scout and all that kind of shit?
Oh, yeah. People go out and scout.
Well, that's
like
probably
crazy.
how they pick up on it. They're like, oh,
right.
This
They get,
activity.
Right. Yeah. They're like, oh, there's some asshole over there with a gun. Probably shouldn't go over that way. But yeah, I mean, and, you got guys that are out there pounding the woods all the time. And yeah, they definitely do push birds around, but I'm not a turkey hunter. I've done it a couple times, so I could be talking out of my ass, but that's just what it's what it seems like to me. I'll admit that that ain't my thing. So
I've seen, more people hunting curious than ever before. I mean, I'm part of that. There was hunting going on around me as a kid, but I like you, I didn't hunt when I was a child, besides like, with a BB gun. So we've seen millions of new gun owners come into our community in the last 5 years. COVID did wonders for the amount of growth of the gun community. How do you think that fits into hunting as a whole?
I honestly think they go hand in hand.
Explain that.
So during the lockdown, people had a lot of time on their hands, and hey, I can't go out in public, but I can go outside. Let me try this and try that. I mean, living in New Hampshire, I'm an hour and a half away from the White Mountains, which is, part of the Appalachian Trail and all that other stuff. And I mean, they literally there are so many people that during COVID were going outside and hiking and exploring the outdoors. They had to put an entire new lane on the highway just so people could park. So they could get out of their cars and park, because the little normal national park parking lots were overfilled. So they literally, so there were so many people that got outside and they're like, hey, this is kind of cool. What else can I do in nature? I think the other side of that is people realizing, I don't want to do a deep dive off of the deep end into the conspiracy theory stuff, but
we've had a couple guests on this show that live in that arena, so it's totally fine.
Yeah, I want to keep it going. People realizing their food's being poisoned, man, and with all that stuff, like right now they're like, oh, don't eat chicken because of the bird flu and yada, and all it's bullshit, man. Or they didn't want people, once people started going in deer hunting, oh, COVID can be transferred to deer. How can the deer get fucking COVID? That was a big thing 2 years ago. Oh, hunters don't shoot deer because no, man. I think I think with more people getting into guns and more people getting outdoors, and with more people's eyes being open, there's been more of a focus on self-reliance. And again, for me, one of the biggest things for me was going to a grocery store and not even getting meat, because I really don't need to buy meat at a grocery store, but I was getting like pasta or some shit like that, and cheese and milk, whatever. And just the meat section is gone. There was nothing there. And this was during COVID.
Or it costs an absolute fortune.
Right, exactly. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so my deer tag costs, my hunting license in New Hampshire cost me like $180 a year, say, okay, with all my tags and everything else like that. So I can shoot 2 deer and I can shoot a bear and get a couple 100 pounds of meat, if I'm lucky, for essentially $180 and the cost of ammunition, because I can butcher and clean all that stuff myself, so when people kind of start looking at it, they're like, well, this is wild. Like I have this in my backyard. So, I think there was a major push that way of people realizing I don't need this. I don't need the supermarket, because you're kind of in farm country there. And I'm sure it's been the same around here where I am, where you see more of these like farm stands popping up and people selling eggs on the side of the road and selling milk on the side of the road, and people buying
Dude, there's a guy here not far from us that is fighting the government because he's trying to sell raw milk, and they're like, it's an Amish dude, and they're like trying to put him in jail for it.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. Like that's all I drink now is raw milk, raw yogurt. That's all I have.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but like down in Massachusetts, where I'm originally from, can't do that. It's like illegal to have raw milk.
Well, being alive is illegal in Massachusetts.
This is true. Having a brain is illegal in Massachusetts. Common sense. Don't come for me, Massachusetts people.
No. If you're still there, go ahead, send Matt an email.
Yeah.
Get on him.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was just kind of people opening their eyes and realizing, like, the other thing is hunting's hard, man. Like a lot of people have this idea that, I'm just going to go out in the woods, I'm going to see a deer. And man, it took me 6 years to even see a deer in New Hampshire. Just to see one.
Now, I want to make sure that that's clear to the audience. It does not mean seeing a deer, period. He means while he's hunting in the particular area that he can see, he did not see a deer.
Yeah.
I want to make that very, very clear, because people hear people say that. They go, well, there's deer all over the place. Yeah, well, they didn't happen to be in front of him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could probably hit one with my truck every other day, but
dude,
legally
they come through my fucking backyard.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All the time.
Yep. But legally being able to hunt and to take a deer and harvest a deer, it took me 6 years. And it's not easy. It's not what a lot of people think it is. Oh, I'm just going to go out and, shoot this mindless animal and whatever. So I think a lot of people kind of got enamored with the challenge of it. And again, it's work, it's exercise. You got guys that put on, 4, 5, 6 miles a day, just scouting for deer, not even going out and hunting. So, as far as that goes, I think there's been this kind of return to our, I guess, primordial ancestors, I guess, and wanting to kind of reconnect with nature that way. And I mean, hunting.
We've also seen a rise in like homesteading and self-sufficiency, because people have, for lack of a better way to put this, people have seen the government's bullshit front and center.
Yeah.
The amount of control that they tried to put in front of us and say, no, you have to do this, you have to get this shot, you have to do what we say. And people were like, hold up. Even the people that were on the edge of or in the center politically were like, I don't fucking think so. I don't think so. So it's been interesting. Now I have heard that in general, hunting is on the decline in terms of numbers. How does that play into, like you were saying, it goes hand in hand? We've seen millions of new people. Are you seeing more new, like, young hunters, or what is it? Those are very contradictory things.
Correct. Yeah, 1,000%. And there 1,000% has been a decline. And I think it's because, and you know what? I'm not afraid to say it. I'll probably catch shit for it, but I really don't care. It's the same as the firearms industries. There's too many gatekeepers.
In what way? I don't.
In
understand.
the way that they're not going to teach a new person how to hunt.
Seriously?
1,000%. 1,000%. Dude, I'll kick you back all the way to 2015. The very first bear hunt I went on, I was shooting a 308. I was sighting in my 308 at the range for this bear hunt. And this guy comes up to me and goes, 308 is going to bounce off of a bear.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, that's
pissed.
Correct. And that's when you hooked me up with Lehigh initially.
Yeah.
That's how far we go back. And that will always stick in my head. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of this guy that supposedly had hunted bears before, be like, hey man, let me give you some advice and tell you what to do. He goes, 308 will bounce off a bear. Don't even bother taking anything less than a 40 cal out there and just walking away. Like, what a dick. Like, who says that to somebody that's trying to get into the sport, Like, so I think there are so many people out there that, and again, another huge thing too is with all the public land and everything. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you my spot. I'm not gonna tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I ran into this a couple years ago. This guy, I almost want to drop his name, but I'm afraid that it'll get like good publicity instead of negative publicity.
Yeah, don't say his name. Don't say.
Yeah, but this guy, I asked him, I want to sea duck hunt. I'd never been sea duck hunting before. Okay. I moved up here. I wanted to do it. I was super excited about people's like, oh, you got to go with this guy. You got to go with this guy. I sent him a message. He goes, oh, you're local? I was like, yeah. He goes, I don't take local guys out. I was like, why? He's like, they steal spots. I said, well, we're sea duck hunting, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, so you're hunting on the ocean, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, so what's your fucking spot? Like the ocean is your spot? How is that your spot? Right? And I'm like, dude, I don't have a boat. Like if I had a boat, I wouldn't need you. Oh, well, you probably have a friend with a boat. If I had a friend with a boat, I still wouldn't be calling you. Guys, go my friend with the boat. So you have people that it's their spot. Dude, it's public land, man. And there are so many people that gatekeep like that. Like I'll tell anybody, I've got 600 acres of conservation land behind me. I see people all the time going in and out of the woods because there's a public access trail like a half mile from my house. And I'll go, hey, I was out there with my dogs the other day. I saw a bunch of rubs over that way. If you want to go, I don't know where you've been.
Now, do you steer them the wrong way?
No, I steer them the right way. Dude, there's so much, dude. You know what? There's so much land out there for people, man. Like, I don't care. As long as somebody's not hunting my backyard, I don't care. But like, that's like saying to somebody like, oh, get the fuck out of here. This is my spot. This 600 acres is mine because my house is here. It's public land.
Right.
So to not give that helping hand to somebody, it's like if you go to the range and you see somebody and they're all cup and saucer or whatever, and they can't hit the target for the life of them, you're going to sit there and watch them struggle. You're going to be like, hey man, can I give you like 15 seconds of constructive criticism to kind of help you out? It's the same thing. It's like you can see somebody that's walking out in turkey season. They got a blaze orange vest on. Hey dude, it's turkey season. We don't need orange, like you're not going to see a bird because you're wearing orange. So it's stuff like that if people don't know what they don't know, and you need somebody there, and it's as cliche as it fucking sounds. You need somebody to be a steward, pretty much steward of the land, and teach people the right and the wrong way to do stuff, because I've learned by making mistakes because I had nobody to teach me whatsoever.
Right.
So, I can't tell you how many times I see on these Facebook groups and everything else, like, oh, don't tell him he's going to steal my spot or he's going to do this. Or your guy's like, oh, what's a good spot? What's a good spot to take my kids fishing at this pond? Oh, I'm not going to tell you because you'll steal. Dude, come on. Are you kidding me? You don't own the fucking pond. You don't own the shore. Like, just tell somebody. Who cares?
I can't say I disagree. I know I mean, my brother and his buddies, like they tournament fish and they've got all their spots and they got all that kind of stuff figured out. I'm like, I get it for tournaments. You're not going to tell a guy where you're tournament fishing because you're trying to win money.
Correct.
But like when it's all about like, continuing the sport as a whole, like you're definitely going to take somebody to a place where they're going to be successful and you're going to teach that kid. At least, in our circle, we don't operate like that. We're like, let's help the young guys. Let's push this forward because we're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
What do you think? Sorry. What do you think is like the hunt for somebody that's like on the fence about wanting to try hunting? That's like kind of that either has a couple guns or is new to guns. Like where do they need to be looking?
So I'm going to say this very, very tongue in cheek is if you've never done it before, and you want to do it and you're unsure, before you spend and again, don't fucking come for me. I'm just making a suggestion here.
All right.
If you've never done it before and you don't want to spend all the money on the tags and the gear and the this and everything else like that, if there's a game ranch somewhere and you can get in on a low budget game, even if it's a pig hunt somewhere, like that pig hunt at Tioga, you can do a meat hog hunt at Tioga in PA for like $600-700. It's a pretty low budget way to get into it. And what I mean by that is if you're into hunt, if you want to get into hunting, you're not going to go on a fucking elk hunt out west where a tag alone costs you $1,800.
Yeah, you're just not going to do that. And that's
So
if you get a tag.
correct. And the other thing is like people like, oh, we'll start deer hunting. I mean, I'll tell you right now, like I said, it took me 6 years and I kind of know what I'm doing sitting in the woods before I took my first deer in New Hampshire. And that's a free hunt. All I have to do is pay for my tags, you know?
So you're saying find a ranch, like probably a high fence ranch, dip your toes into it, go to where it may be affordable in a general sense.
Yep. And see if you like it because, dude, hunting is not cheap. I mean, I spend thousands of dollars a year on licenses and draws. That's before I even get out to hunt.
Now let's be clear. Matt is the type of person that wants to travel all over North America and beyond to hunt. So you can do it cheaper than what Matt does it, but he does. I mean, the gear alone, if you're a gear nerd, you're probably that type of person. If you're listening to this, you're going to spend a good chunk of money on shit. You just are.
And again, if you're a gear nerd and you want to get into it, I'll tell you right now, I've got, and this is not a knock on these companies at all. I've got a $3,000 Christensen rifle over there. That rifle has killed just as many deer as my broke down ass Savage rifle that I bought for $200 off of the shelf in a used gun store. There are definitely ways to get into it. And again, that Savage rifle, my first hunting rifle.
Yeah.
I've upgraded because I've been doing it for decades now that I'm like, okay, hey, I've got a decent job and I can afford to buy a Christensen rifle. But that being said, do not let anybody shame you that you're wearing mismatched Walmart camo, that you're not wearing, $600 Crispies on your feet, and that you're not using a $10,000 rifle with an $8,000 scope. Man, you can go out there and you can get it done under $1,000, all of your gear included, and even less than that. So my biggest thing, and again, cost prohibition is probably one of the biggest things keeping people out of it. You don't need all the Gucci shit. Like, sorry, all the paid influencers and everything else like that, they're get ready with me as they put on all their First Light and their Sitka shit. Like, you don't need that. Is it nice stuff? Yep, it's nice stuff, but you can upgrade later on. It's really nice stuff, but you can upgrade later on.
So you can, I mean, I'll say this. This is not embarrassing to me at all. The first time I went pheasant hunting, my gear consisted of a winter jacket because it was wintertime, like a regular winter jacket. It was like a Columbia jacket. I don't know where the hell I got it. And I had thermals on, and then I wore jeans and my snow boots.
Yeah.
That's what I went out in the field with. Jeans.
Yep.
Like, bro, I was soaked and it was a bad call, but like, you can get it done. And I had an 870. I was using an 870 and I swapped the barrel. I bought a longer barrel so I could go hunting with my 870 because I didn't want to buy, a fancy shotgun.
Did you kill birds?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Exactly. Right. So do you need $2,500 Beretta Silver Pigeon over under?
No, it's just nice to have. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And but that's the shit that you get later on.
Right.
Like, again, like bear hunting became my passion. So I don't have a lot of these long range guns. I've got a bunch of lever actions because they're a lot easier to pack and bear hunt with, but that's where I spend my money now.
Sure.
Like I've got a couple of deer rifles. I've got a couple of elk rifles. There are guys that they've got a rifle in every caliber for every season and everything else like that.
But you don't have to do that.
You don't. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. I think that's the biggest kind of thing that's keeping people out of the sport. You don't need to spend a ton of money. You can wear mismatched camo. You can wear one black boot, one brown boot. Like, who cares, dude? Like, just get out in the woods.
Just go be a part of it and soak yourself in. Yeah. I mean, some of the most transformative experiences I've had were me sitting alone in a hunting blind. You know what I mean? Like the hottest I've ever been, the coldest I've ever been, like pushing myself physically, mentally, and just being alone was very, very healthy for me. And then the adrenaline rush and the, the chase of getting these animals and like trying to figure it out. I mean, it's so interesting. And I hope that, you guys out there are encouraged by that sort of thing. Matt, so what kind of animal would you say, like, go pig hunting? Would you like what
Yeah,
we've got listeners all over the country. What do you think is like the jam?
Yeah, I mean, pig hunting is probably the least cost prohibitive. I mean, because there's a lot of places where you can just kill those fuckers wholesale, and then it's pretty cheap.
Especially if you're in the South. If you're in the
Yeah,
South,
especially if you're in the South.
game time.
Or, if you want to go, and again, this is, John and I were just together at the Great American Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania. You can go and you can book a hunt there. So, for example, you can go down to South Carolina, I think it is, and for $1,500, you can get 5 deer for $1,500. You're not shooting these monster deer. You're not shooting anything Boone and Crockett, but you're going to shoot a deer and you're going to put meat on the table. And you're going to get your toes wet. And I think that's the biggest thing
And that's like, you got to figure that is a lot of meat. Assuming you
Yeah.
get a decent deer.
Yep.
That's a lot of meat, dude. That's going to go a long way.
Yep. And I mean, there's so much you can do. Like it's, again, not knowing what I didn't know because I didn't have anybody to teach me. I just used to get all my meat into burger because I'm like, oh, it's game meat. It's going to taste gamey. It's going to taste gross. I'm just going to fucking slather it with mustard and ketchup and call it good. But dude, now I get all the primal cuts and everything. I do so much stuff. Like wild game cooking is so fun for me.
Well, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
There's
And it's
so much,
dude, there's so much you can do with it. It's so fun. And there's honestly, like, there's nothing more enjoyable than taking a bite out of that meat that you harvested that, that you worked your ass off for. But, probably pig hunting, some sort of bird hunting, maybe, duck hunting's pretty inexpensive, but again, you have to realize you're going to go out there and your first couple times you may not see anything.
Yeah, you may strike out.
Yeah, and that's why I tell people, again, it's cheating because it's in a high fence or whatever. Go do it. See if you like it. Like, you may hate the fact that you pulled the trigger on an animal and you stopped its heart from beating and everything else like that, and
you may not want to do it again.
Right, but it beats going and paying for all the gear and the tags and everything else like that. And if not, dude, find somebody that's willing to take you out. If you live in New England and you want to come hunting, I don't do a ton of hunting here. But if you're local and you're watching this and you have questions or you want to come on a bear hunt or something like that, shoot me a message. Do whatever, comment here, however this works.
And if Matt is unable to do it himself, I'm sure he could help you find some way to get involved.
Yeah, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm a gate opener. You like that?
That's good. That's good.
And I want to get as many people involved as possible to help the sport out. Because I want to preserve it for generations to come. So that's what I get out of it. That's, again, go back to the youth hunt. Why I do it is to get the next generation involved.
So you've got your hands in so many things. You're very, very busy. SCI New England is growing. How do people get connected with you, Matt, on social media? How do people find you and chat with you? Because I know guys are going to want to go find your Instagram and that sort of thing.
Yeah, my Instagram, my Facebook, Black Dirt Diaries, at Black Dirt Diaries. And then there's the SCI NEF page. I do manage both those Facebooks and Instagrams. Again, I don't know if you can put my email somewhere down here. Yeah. And if somebody wants to send me a message or whatever, if you've got questions, like I do my best to make again, it goes back to when I was training people. I do my best to make myself as available as possible and to answer those questions, simply because I didn't have it. And I'd rather somebody do something the right way than fail and do it the wrong way and say, man, this sucks. I don't want to do this again.
And like I said at the opening, the person that when I have hunting questions, I go to is Matt. So
I don't have all the answers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like, for example, when you were talking about the bear, you were like, hey, this guy said this. And I was like, try this ammo because we're putting our heads together. We're building stronger together. And I know that sounds like a fucking political slogan, but like, this is what it's all about is building our community. And I think hunting is a big part of the future of this nation in terms of like just keeping it fucking alive as a nation. So definitely check that out. Go follow Matt, Black Dirt Diaries on the social medias. Check out the New England chapter of SCI because I think that's rad. I used to think a lot of negative things about SCI, but Matt's really educated me about it. It's pretty cool what they got going on. Matt, I know we could continue talking for fucking ever.
Yeah, we need a part 2.
Yeah, we need a part 2. And if you guys out there listening or watching want to hear a part 2, and maybe have some specific questions, we can definitely get Matt come back on and answering all that kind of stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun, like a Q&A episode.
That'd be cool.
So go ahead and leave those in the comments, shoot me a message, whatever. You guys know how to find me. Check out our sponsors, Vertex and Blackout Coffee. I would really appreciate it if you guys did that. Matt, thanks for your time, brother. Is there anything you want to add?
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity. I haven't done a podcast in forever, and I was super excited when you asked me. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I will see you guys very soon. Thank you all for listening and watching. We'll see y'all next time.